So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jayati, and I'm a thermal engineer at Meta. And I'm joined by my colleague Manasa, who is a data center systems thermal engineer at Meta as well. And today we are going to be talking about how we are thinking of preparing Meta for the growing power demand from a thermal perspective. So a brief overview of the agenda here. So we'll start with the background and motivation, leading us into the problem statement. Then we'll talk about the different evaluations that we have done of how much power we can support from the eye level, the rack level, as well as then go into some mitigation strategies of how we are able to enable more power and higher airflow racks to be supported. So some background here. As you can see in the graph on the top left corner, Meta's IT capacity deployment has increased significantly in the last 5 years. And it is also projected to go on increasing in the future. So this increasing power demand, and in parallel, when we look at the processor power, that has also gone on increasing in the last few years and is projected to continue the same trend. So when we put these two things together, it basically means that to support higher power that we are anticipating, we would have higher power racks in our data centers. So with these higher power racks, it becomes really critical to evaluate like what kind of cooling availability we have in our data centers and how we are able to ensure that we are able to support all these racks in our fleet. Also, safe interoperability between the data center and the IT equipment that we are deploying also becomes critical. So if you look at the graph here, you can see that the power and cooling capacity required has gone on increasing, just as the technology and design complexity has gone on increasing. And if we are assuming the same data center envelope, which means that we are supplying airflow at the same temperature, and all other infrastructure and constraints remain the same, then higher rack power directly translate to higher rack airflow requirement. So which brings us to our problem statement, really. So there are two different statements that we are trying to address here. The first, we are trying to understand that for our existing data center facilities, what is the limit of the cooling that we can support? Or we are trying to understand the different boundaries and constraints for the existing data center facilities that we have. And in the second statement, we are trying to see that what kind of potential solutions that we are able to propose so that we can enable this higher airflow racks in our data centers. And if we can do these via design or operational changes. So a brief look at the Meta data center, because all of these evaluations, including the computational fluid dynamics evaluations and the experiments that were run, were done in these data centers. So as you can see in the top section, we have the penthouse structure. In the middle, we have the plenum, which holds the hot return air. And at the bottom, we have the data hall. And all of the data centers, they are basically based on similar structure. They are standardized for IT capacity, for the cooling configuration, and the rack and containment layout. So if you look at the airflow path, we take in outside air from the side. It comes down from the shafts and then makes its way into the data hall, where it is distributed among the different cold aisles. As it goes through the cold aisles, it is taken in by the different rack and the IT equipment driven by the server fans. It picks up the heat from this IT equipment and makes its way to the hot aisle. It then is returned outside into the environment through the relief fans that you can see on the right-hand side. Few more details about the data centers. So our supply airflow envelope is between 65 and 85 Fahrenheit. Also, we maintain a positive pressure differential between the cold and the hot aisle to prevent or minimize any bypass from the hot aisle to the cold aisle. When we do all of these different evaluations, both from a CFD perspective as well as the experimentation, our main goal is thermal risk assessment. And in this case, we determine the thermal risk is high if we ever see that the inlet temperatures that we are seeing for our IT equipment is greater than the hardware design spec that we have. So when we actually talk about the IT gear, IT power that we are able to support, or the cooling capacity that we are able to support, we are looking at different levels of evaluation, starting with the data center level. So for the data center level, really this is a very high bird view of how much power we can support. So at the data center level, the power supported really is dependent on the overall cooling airflow that is available in the data hall. And in a very simplistic manner, we can evaluate it using the equation given here. So it's a ratio of the airflow available to the design CFM per watt spec that we have. Moving down one level to the aisle, we now start seeing some localized phenomena. So on the aisle level, really, the power that we can support is dependent not only on the overall airflow availability, but also on how this airflow is distributed among the various aisles in the data hall. In many cases, we have seen that we are then limited by the aisle which receives minimum amount of airflow in case we want to deploy uniformly throughout our data hall. So in this case, we estimated the aisle level airflow using DC-CFD simulations, and we are able to come up with a number that is the IT airflow that we are able to support in all of our aisles. Moving down one more level, which is the rack level airflow, this is where it starts getting even more interesting and nuanced. So now we have the total airflow that is available, how it is distributed throughout the data hall, and then also some localized phenomena when we see some high CFM racks or high airflow racks, and the effects of pressurization. And this is where we now have to come up with constraints and try to evaluate like what are the limits we are able to support for these high airflow racks. So let's take a closer look on the aisle or the row level evaluation. So the goal here was really to determine the cooling capacity or to determine the IT airflow that is demand that can be supported by each and every aisle in the data hall. And the reason we chose the IT airflow and not really the IT power or a certain rack configuration is because if when we talk about the IT airflow or the cooling capacity, it becomes agnostic of the rack type and the different rack metrics, etc. So it can be applied for all kinds of hardware directly. If you look at the graph that I've presented, it clearly shows that among the different supply shafts and the different cold aisles that one can have in the data hall, there can be a varied distribution. And as I mentioned before, we then become limited by the lowest airflow available in the cold aisle if we are going for uniform deployment. So when setting up these DC-CFD simulations, we try to simulate the worst case scenario so as to make sure that we will not run into any thermal runaway scenarios or any thermal risks while in operation. So the simulations, they considered the high end of the supply temperature that we have in our data halls. And we also try to take into consideration the scenario where we have one fan failure. Also, for generalized guidance, the simulations considered our hardware to operate at the higher end of its CFM per watt spec. And also, the hardware is deployed, if you can see here, at the very end of the aisles, away from where the cold air actually comes down, which again helps us simulate like the worst case scenario that we might find in the data hall. And the last was we also taken into consideration any effects of pressurization and if we have excess airflow through these racks because of higher pressures that we see in the cold aisle. So by running multiple cases of this and assuming and the assumptions that we have, we are now able to come up with a number for the IT airflow that we are able to support and use that to assess the cluster plans to assess what kind of thermal risk we would have if we deploy a certain kind of IT airflow requirement in our aisles. Next, I'll hand it over to Manasa to talk about the rack level considerations.
Thank you, Jayati. When we did eye level evaluation, we did not see any high-risk thermal impact on our racks. But what we saw is that in our hot aisle, we saw localized pressurized spots. So we wanted to investigate what that could mean in the data hall scale. Sorry. So we have done CFD modeling focusing at rack level, where we model 2 rows that would share a hot aisle. And during normal operation, this is what we expect. This is we are looking at 2 rows from side. The cold air is entering the racks, and now the hot air is being exhausted towards the ceiling. What we have also seen in the simulation is that whenever there is a high power rack on one side and it's rear facing another low power rack, we would see that the high airflow consumed by the high power rack, which would be between ranges of, say, 2,300 to all the way to 3,500 CFM, if it's rear facing a low power rack, which would have airflow ranges between 600 to say 1,000 CFM, this is the type of airflow behavior we would see. The high velocity jets are almost overflowing into the back of the low power rack. So this can cause a couple of effects. One of them, obviously, there would be a lot of back pressure on the low power rack. The other one would be there could be recirculation. When I say recirculation, it means whenever there are these gaps and leakages between the racks or servers, and there is a high pressure hot air there, it could leak through these gaps, could mix with the cold air, and can increase the inlet temperatures of these racks. So we wanted to understand what this behavior can impact in a real-time data center. So we actually ran a test in our data center where we selected 2 rows that would share a hot aisle, as shown in the schematic here. And we manually controlled the rack fans such that on one side there is high airflow racks, and on the other side there are low airflow racks. We have done the test for airflow ranges between 2,000 and 3,000 CFM. And I am showing a specific data point here for, say, a rack with 2,300 CFM on the high airflow side and 700 CFM on the low airflow side. What we saw is that the low airflow rack has seen an increase in inlet temperature by 6 degrees Celsius. What we have also seen in this test is that when both the racks are in high airflow condition, like 2,300, for instance, we wouldn't see any increase in inlet temperature. So we wanted to understand what could be the main reason for this. Is this contributed due to any internal recirculation that happened within the server because of the back pressure and the low pressure regions within the server, or is this external to the system? So we ran a server level test where we stuck the server in a wind tunnel, and we created back pressure on the server fans. And we saw 2 observations. One of them is that the component temperatures on the server, they increased because obviously the fans are now drawing low amounts of airflow. The other observation is that we actually did not see any increase in inlet temperature in the server. So what that means is that this phenomena is pretty much external to the system. It's not because of anything internal to the server. And the rack inlet temperature increase could be due to the rack aisle containment gaps and leakages. So if this phenomena is left unchecked, it could cause increase in inlet temperatures for our racks. And it could also cause inefficiencies because now we are running the servers hotter, the fans are going to ramp up, and there would be increase in the power, and that is basically due to a thermally induced phenomena and not because of a productive workload demand. So we looked at some mitigation strategies by design changes at data center and rack level, or via operational changes to address these risks. So the mitigation strategies using design changes, one option would be to expand the hot aisle width in our data centers so that it would relieve some high hot aisle pressure that is accumulated in the aisles. And the other option would be to place angle louvers at the back of the high power racks so that some of the air, the high velocity jets, can now be deflected towards the ceiling instead of overflowing into the opposite rack. And the final one would be to actually improve the rack containment itself. We have ran some CFD modeling in understanding, basically quantifying what the impact would be if we include these design changes, say hot aisle expansion. We again did similar analysis where we focused on 2 rows that would share a hot aisle. We increased the width of the hot aisle. Here, we are correlating recirculation to a parameter called aisle differential pressure. What I mean by that is it's basically the differential pressure between hot aisle and cold aisle measured across the side gaps of the racks. So when we increased the hot aisle width by 1 feet, we saw an aisle differential pressure reduction by 10%. And when we increased by 3 feet, we saw reduction by 27%, basically showing an improvement in the secondary effect of recirculation. So the other aspect where including the angle louvers on high power racks, as I discussed earlier, just to refresh your memory, this is the type of behavior that we would see if there is a high power rack and rear facing a low power rack. So now when we include angle louvers, as expected, the air is now being deflected towards the ceiling, and we actually saw the simulation has shown that there would be a reduction of 28% in aisle differential pressure. We have run an additional analysis where we expanded the hot aisle width by 1 feet and also included the angle louvers. In that case, we saw a reduction of differential pressure by 72%, basically similar pressure ranges that we would see in a baseline case. So if we were not to make any design changes at our facility or rack design level, one way to mitigate recirculation would be to arrange the rack layout such that the high power rack is always rear facing another high power rack. And a second option would be to develop framework such that we would define a minimum airflow requirement on the low power rack, meaning the fan control algorithm on the low power rack should be able to maintain a certain amount of CFM so that there is no scope for recirculation. So based on above learnings and methodologies, we hope the hyperscale data center operators can also define their own system level constraints, not just at the data center scale, but also look at rack level interactions as well. And we also believe the OCP hardware design community can help enable rack design changes, basically to mitigate high risks on our racks and enable successful deployment of our hyper racks. I would like to thank different teams involved in this effort, and also like to thank you everybody for listening to the talk. With that, I would like to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.